I've tried just about every restaurant so far in Skyrim, and I've had some good experiences.
That's some ventilation right there. That is wonderful.
And some questionable experiences.
Man, he's just spouting hate speech next to a dark elf.
And today, I'm bringing my extensive food service management expertise back to the land of Civil War and snow, trying to find out if anybody here actually knows how to maintain a food service establishment. And I figure what better place to start than a dirty alleyway full of elves and a cute little local joint called the New Gesus Corner Club. Let's have a look inside.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the New Gesus Corner Club. I don't know how to say it. Looking around here, we can see that the decor is very bare, which makes sense given the part of town this is in. If my understanding of the local culture is correct, we're actually sort of in like a slum for these what are called dark elves, like this gentleman here. Hello, sir.
Apparently, some Nord women were murdered. Not sure why I should care.
I want to draw some attention to a couple of things that a lot of people do not notice, and I want you to, next time you go into a restaurant, look at this. Check out the stools. They're all perfectly aligned, perfectly spaced apart up at the bar. The same is true at this table as well. It looks like somebody recently went in and straightened all the tables and chairs, which is something that if you go to a restaurant, especially a busier restaurant, you'll see that get missed all the time. It's just sort of as the guests stand up, they'll move the chairs all over the place, and either nobody has time or nobody thinks to go like reset them. So again, we're working with pretty sparing decorations, but for what they are, there's a lovely attention to detail, right? Now we do have holes in the floorboards right at the start, which is, first of all, like the last place you want them, and there is no signage sort of indicating, you know, to be safe as you step around. And if we look over in the corner here, you will see that it looks like people were recently here, just kind of left their mugs on the ground, which, you know, it's hard. They're hard to see for sure if you're standing behind the bar, but kind of part of the job of working in a place like this is always doing laps and making sure that everything stays nice and tidy, right? What have you got for sale, Ambaris? Anything unusual on the menu here? A little bit of pogfish. That's pretty pog. Let's take a look at what's on the countertop here. Kind of an interesting spread. So we've got a potion, some salt, food, mead, all sorts of things just kind of strewn about. One interesting thing to note is this guy's actually eating bread and drinking at the same time. He actually put the bread in with the mead, which is kind of in the vein of those, what do they call those things? Borgs? He's kind of borging it up right now. He's an entrepreneur. If you don't mind, sir, I'm just going to take a peek behind and see how organized your operation is. What do we got? He's got salt down there, presumably for margaritas or something. And then, wow, would you look at this? Nice and organized down here. You love to see this. Trays together, cups together, bowls together. Even on this shelf, you've got mugs together, tankards together, whatever, all of that stuff. So yeah, that all looks pretty good. I mean, again, they're working in kind of a crappy building. They're doing their best with that stuff, but they're keeping it clean. They're keeping it tidy. It's organized. Let's take a look in the back here and sort of the back of house area and just make sure there's nothing horribly violating going on. We got, looks like some prep stuff, a cauldron. They don't do a lot of cooking here, it seems like. My guess is that most of this stuff isn't even really used. And then up here, we're going to assume it's a residence. That's very common in like lower class businesses. Yeah. It does make me wonder if they do any of the prep up here. And if they do, then you would like to see it be a little more organized. But again, I don't see any active health code violations. And a lot of this stuff isn't stuff that even looks like it's been used in a while. So the vibe that I'm getting from here is that it is pretty bare bones. We're doing a lot of drinking, and then we're selling very simple items that we maybe buy from a different market. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a seat in the corner here. We're going to just pop a squat, and then we're going to wait for things to pick up at night, because I did come here. I don't know if you knew this, but I did come here at 10 in the morning, which is not an unusual time for me to go to a bar, but it is for, you know, most people. All right, it's about 9 o'clock, and you can tell that things have definitely picked up. You know, we got people hanging, we got people eating, we got people drinking. Definitely seems like a social hub for all the people who live in this part of town, which makes sense. How are you enjoying your meal, my friend?
I like to share my good fortune with those who deserve it.
Are you being passive-aggressive? Does that not include me?
If you're looking to get a drink, Candlehearth Hall's got warm fires and strong ale.
Why are you advertising the other place while you're in the place? What a dumb thing to say. Well, you're literally in this man's bar. So overall, considering what they have to work with, this is actually a fairly well-run operation. Getting supplies in to a place that, you know, part of town that nobody wants to go to, it can be tricky to do that, right? To sort of work against that. So the fact that they keep things clean and they do a good job with what they have control over is very admirable. It's also pleasant, quiet, it's extremely well organized. The shelving is kept in very good shape, which I really, really love and respect. But there are a couple things that I think could could use improvement. Number one, it could probably use some more tables. You know, you really just have a bar and then one table. But then the other thing, number two, is maybe you can use all of that time when there's nobody here from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. to actually prep some food that people might want to eat rather than just leaving bread and cheese out on the counter. It's not bad, but you have the pots to make some stew. Why don't you make some stew? So overall, I'm going to give the new Gesus Corner Club a B. After blacking out at the Corner Club last night, I set out, hungover and full of rage, on a lengthy trek across some of Skyrim's most frigid landscapes. We were looking for the city of Dawnstar, which I'm told is one of the hardest working cities in the world. Everyone knows with hard work comes big appetites, and big appetites usually beget great food. Lucky for me, a little establishment called the Wind Peak Inn is here to take care of me. Let's have a look inside. Places like this aren't exactly our favorites because a lot of them sort of look the same, so they don't take too long, but it's going to be in those little details, the little differences that we really see whether these places are well put together or not. First of all, really pretty nice. Bread, wine, 2 plates perfectly aligned up with the benches. The only thing is somebody knocked that mug over and hasn't picked it up. But this is a really good table setting, all things considered. One thing that does bug me, it's not a deal breaker, especially when you're in kind of a place like this that's like half bar counter service. But you'll notice here, the mugs are both on the right side and the upper right of the plates, but then you come here and it's like they're just kind of strewn about, not a lot of logic to it. If you're going to do place settings, do them, you know. Got a nice big ceiling, clean ventilation, you know, warming fire, which is great in a cold place like this. And let's meet the owner.
I'm sorry. My mind was just somewhere else.
Oh, another depressed Skyrim worker.
People here, and that's the thing, I mean, Skyrim is kind of a depressing place. There's a couple places we've been that have like really strong customer service, but for the most part, people who work here are really quick to want to like tell you that they're annoyed or sad or like upset or that their life sucks, you know? And I go back and forth on that because on one hand, it can be really charming to have the service workers that you're interacting with behave like human beings, and then you get to behave like a human being and kind. But at the end of the day, if you show up to work and you like bring your whole self with you, if everyone did that, like if the owner did it and all your managers did it and the people who work there, if they all did that and the guests all did it, nothing would ever get done. Like imagine if the roller coaster attendant at the amusement park did that. Oh, you guys want to go on this roller coaster? You know, my husband left me, so I'm not feeling too good, but here we go. You want to, let's go. You can go on. You know, it doesn't work. I know that it's like a nice idea that we all live in a nice, like, everyone's happy and we can be people all the time, but most of life, all of life, is a performance, and we perform different things in different contexts, so I don't know. I'm just kind of like, cheer up. I know I'm going on a rant now. Anyway, what have we got for sale? Thoring. We got ale. We got potatoes. Cooked bass. Nice. This does make sense. It's a port town. Thoring, would you mind if I took a peek in your back of house, your prep area here? All right. Whoa, my man. Look at you. This is very clean. First of all, you have all of the wine, the green wine bottles here. You got the meat in the middle. You have cups over there. Perfect. Money here, money there. And of course, your self-defense hammer, which all of the bars have for some reason. So that's all really good. I'm liking this very much. We can take a peek in the rooms just to see if that organization is true back here, which it looks like it is. The rooms look very tidy, very clean. This is one of the cleanest places I think we've been so far. And I imagine that's partially due to you, but also due to the help of your daughter.
The finest bard in all of Dawnstar. Me.
Now, the one thing I'll say that this place doesn't have is any kind of good decoration. You know, it's using a stock layout of a bar. There's a lot of bars, inns, or whatever, taverns in Skyrim that are laid out exactly like this, and some of them will have unique decorative things all around, and this one doesn't really. There's one little berry wreath up there. Maybe it's sort of being run by somebody who's a little bit sad, a little depressed, and doesn't really want to think too critically about their environment, just wants to get their work done and go home. So, which is okay, but that's really the only negative to say about this, is that the decor pretty sparse. As far as good, I mean, it's all the simple stuff, right? It's clean, tidy, great attention to organizational detail. Front and back of house looks great. Strong menu selection, reasonably friendly staff, if a little bit annoying. So in total, I'm going to give the Wind Peak Inn, just like the last place, a solid B. Leaving the warmth of the Wind Peak Inn was bittersweet, and the lengthy walk across the cold continent that followed was just bitter. We're heading to the city of Riften for our final stop, and there's not one but two establishments there for us to check out. One of them is the well-known Bee and Barb, but the other one, called Helgas Bunkhouse, is where we're heading first. Little did I know this was not a normal restaurant. Let's take a look. Okay, welcome to Helgas Bunkhouse. It's definitely possible that this is more of a brothel than a restaurant based on the name Bunkhouse, but as you can see, there's clearly table sets, okay? First things we're noticing. Well, the atmosphere is quite warm. This room over here is a little awkward. It seems like half storage room, but also does have a table to sit and eat. You can even see a difference compared to the chairs that we talked about earlier. These ones are lined up, but it looks much more like there were people sitting here and they got up. So there's a little bit less attention to detail. And then over here we have what we assume is sort of the main eating room. It's not bad, but it does feel a little bit more haphazard than some of the places we've been before. You know, utensils all out on the table and just kind of like food everywhere. Things are not clean and organized. It almost looks like people were having a meal and then suddenly got up and left. Oh, this is definitely a brothel. Yeah, okay. I see what's going on. I'm not actually sure that I'm qualified to be reviewing an establishment like this. I'm very food service oriented. And this is really more of like a hotel, which I don't really have any experience in. I can say that these storage rooms are absolutely filthy, which is not great. And things are strewn about in quite a haphazard way. You know, definitely some people were drinking up here, we assume last night, and nobody really came to clean up all the bottles, which is, I mean, yeah, obviously if you're drinking, you shouldn't leave bottles around everywhere, but if you don't, it's the job of the staff to take care of them. So I don't know, yeah, maybe this doesn't really qualify as much of a restaurant. I mean, if I had to base it off of what I've seen, I'd probably give it like a C, but it's serving a different purpose, you know? So I think I'm just going to back out from this one. We're just going to let this one lie. I'm not going to give it a rating. I wouldn't recommend coming here. The vibes are weird, and it doesn't seem like the workers are treated very nicely. So yeah, let's not worry about that. It was only a few steps across the walkway to get to the real center of food and drink in Riften, which is the Bee and Barb. If you're not a member of the cantankerous working people of Riften, this is probably where you're going to want to head to sate your appetite. Let's head inside. All right, so first things we can notice, it is popping in here, isn't it? And there's a lizard in charge, which is cool.
If I can interest you in one of our special drinks, you let me know.
Ooh, maybe later. But first I gotta have a look around. This is a good example of having enough tables for the people that want to come. You know, you have benches over here for the stragglers and whatnot, but you've got a bar there, 3 tables inside, more benches by the front door for people, plus plenty of standing room. As far as ambiance, it's nice. I like these low wooden ceilings. You have these little extra accoutrements like this stone fireplace that help kind of warm up the space. Food offerings, we have whole cabbage and whole potatoes. At this table we're eating, looks like smoked salmon maybe, which is nice. Salmon, sweet rolls, all that stuff, which is nice. It's a little hard to see just from the decor, how clean and organized it is. You know, that's something that's easier to see when nobody's around. When it's busy, so you're just kind of like taking in the hustle and bustle. I will say this chair is a little bit crooked, which is not a deal breaker, but you know. Let's have a word with the owner, shall we?
If you've got the coin, you're welcome here. Otherwise, hit the road.
Okay, a little rude. What have you got for sale? We've got wine, we've got meat, we got treats, we got a little bit of slaughter fish. There is this weird thing with places in Skyrim where they have a lot of their stuff out on the counter, and I wonder if that's just because the lack of refrigeration in some of these spaces, especially a space like Riften, means you're not going to like pre-make a bunch of stuff and then hold on to it. This is all stuff that probably was made today and then is put out to sell, and when you want to put it out to sell, people have to see it, so you put it up on the countertop. Let's take a look behind the counter, shall we? Whoa, okay. This lizard is not clean. Floor, it looks like there's some rhyme or reason to it. Like probably this lizard was trained in where everything goes and she's just not really doing it, which kind of follows with the fact that she was rude as hell to me when I walked up. I also got a tipped over mug right there. Come on, just pick it up. You're standing right there, for God's sake. Slightly better over here on this shelf. Things are a little more clean and organized. You know, still kind of put up there haphazardly. It's nice when people take the extra time to make sure that like all the pots and pans are facing the same way and they're sort of organized in a way that would make them easy to count if you needed to count them. And also, when you do them that way, it's easy to see if you're getting low. Like if you need to order more, bring some more in. And back here, this is kind of, it looks like a prep kitchen. This is actually pretty reasonable, you know. There's nothing sitting out that shouldn't be sitting out. Someone's gonna have to deal with this rabbit at some point soon, but it looks like it hasn't even been skinned yet, so it's probably pretty new. Take a peek down in the basement now, just to, oh no. What is going on in here? This looks like a recent disaster. These shelves look reasonably organized. Well, kind of. There's like, no, they don't, actually. I was wrong. Cheese here, cheese there, cheese here, cheese there. Potatoes here, potatoes there. Cabbage here, cabbage there. Just put this stuff together. You know, it feels like people who are doing their job, but not thinking too much about it. Same thing here. It's kind of messy. Yeah, you know, they got all the bones of a really strong restaurant. It's like, it's just kind of a training problem, I think. Okay, so the Bee and Barb, how are we feeling about it overall? Not great, not terrible. Great selection of food. Tons of space, really well stocked, ample seating, nice warm environment. But then the bad is really just in these tiny details of like how the job is getting done. So you have everything you need to have a successful restaurant, but at the end of the day, if you don't follow through, you're gonna end up with things like really messy counter spaces, a sense of dishevelment, food items strewn about on the floor, and also a rude wait staff is not necessarily ideal. So overall, I think I've got to give the Bee and Barb a C. Well, folks, I've dined at every notable establishment, drank with every unscrupulous local, and criticized countless disorganized shelves. So what are the best and worst places to go in the entire land of Skyrim? The worst place I visited was definitely the Silver Blood Inn. Horrible service, terribly dirty, super off-putting vibe. And my favorite place to eat and hang out in Skyrim? It's gotta be a toss-up between the Frostfruit Inn and the Nugnissus Corner Club, both of which did a lot with a little. Altogether, Skyrim is a place to go out to eat. People are really depressing, it's generally dirty, and even the best establishments can't hold a candle to a place like Olive Garden. What game should we go out to eat in next? Let me know.
Everyone they I know